Welcome to another live. My name is Laken. That was like a really squeaky sound. Sorry about that. My name is Laken and I go live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And I am so excited about this week's live because today we are talking about the Goals with Laken Planner. Typically, these topics are like me teaching you something or talking about my goals, but I could not resist taking a live this month to go through and talk about the planner. I'm so excited. Okay, let's start with our normal question. It's still going to be a normal live, all of the same normal things, and I have some exciting updates for you as well in relation to some of my goals. So, starting with our wins, as always, what is one small win that you have to share from the last week? If you are here live, please say hello in the chat, say hello and share your win with us. And if you are part of the replay fam, please say hello in the comments and let us know what your win is down in the comments. I am excited to hear about all your wins and sip on my coffee while I do so. I got my planner yesterday and I love it. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Sarah. I'm so excited. Yeah, it makes me very happy. And also like a huge relief off of my shoulders. I had this like crick in my neck that I thought was maybe from sleeping wrong. But then like, when you do that, when you sleep on it wrong, it usually goes away after like a day, and it wasn't going away until I literally like clicked launch on the planner. And then within an hour, it felt better. I was like, well, I think that's what it was. I think it was like weighing on me, literally weighing on my shoulders. So, all right. I don't know where all the chats are coming. Everyone being quiet today. I can see it. I can see how many eyeballs are watching. I don't know if you can see it up in the corner. I can see it. All right, we're going to keep chugging then, but if you have a win to share, I would love to hear about your win. Okay, let's do a reading update. Still reading Court of Frost and Starlight. I am making progress, which is what I told you last week, was that I was going to pick it up again and I was going to make progress, and I am doing that. I am still so exhausted by the time I get into bed that I sometimes barely even finish a chapter before I'm like falling asleep. So my progress is still very slow, but progress is still progress. I was telling my sister the other day that in my dream, my goal would be to get through the end of the series by the end of the year. So that's this book. And then the last one, which I know the last one is huge, but I have 3 months. I feel like I can do it. I feel like that's feasible. I feel like it's reasonable, but that is my goal fiction wise. And then I can jump into new stuff in the new year. And I was revisiting my list. Somebody asked me once where I keep like most readers will reference it as a TBR list, to be read. And I just use GoodNotes for that. Any book that I want to read, I put into GoodNotes. And GoodNotes? Is that what it's called? Why am I questioning that? Yeah, GoodNotes. And I have so many just like standalone fiction books in my GoodNotes, and I want to just start to chug through some of them. I do think reading fiction or reading series really helps me keep the momentum of reading going, but I want to read through some of those. So that is going to be I'm kind of getting a little bit ahead of myself. I've also been in this very 2025 mode. I've been thinking about a lot. I've been writing down a lot of ideas. My brainstorming for 2025 is both for personal and business is like out of this world. And one of the things I'm thinking of in terms of reading is like a weird thing where I'm like, no series in 2025 because I want to chug through other fiction books, and I'm going to have to come up with a way for me to make sure I stay on top of them and not lose my momentum while still reading. Okay. Good reads. Thank you. Yeah. Why do I keep saying GoodNotes? GoodNotes is the app on my iPad that I use to like write things. Good reads. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. The other reading update for you. My lack of a nonfiction book lasted less than a week. If you were here last week or you watched last week's replay, I told you that I was going to take a break and I was going to not start a new nonfiction book. And I did take a break. And I caught up on all my podcasts. I caught up on all my YouTube videos. And then was it Monday or yesterday? I was cleaning something, which is when I would typically want to put like an audiobook in my ears. And I was caught up on podcasts and caught up on YouTube. And I was like, all right, I need another audiobook. So I went to my list because my 2024 reading plan was to have like set books I was going to read. And I still have a lot of nonfiction books on that list. But when I went to download or to get one of them, just none of them were jumping out at me. Like I didn't want to read any of them. So I decided to purchase a audiobook that is trending and is like all over my social media, and that is Sharon McMahon's new book, The Small and the Mighty. I love Sharon. If you don't follow Sharon, it's Sharon Says So on Instagram, especially right now. Her um, recaps of what's going on in the world is so helpful for me. And I've been following her for a very long time. And I just really, really appreciate the way she delivers content and the way she talks about things going on. I wasn't sure I was going to like this book because it is historical, and I am not a history person. Typically, I don't like to watch historical fiction movies or even historical, like actual historical movies. I don't like to read historical fiction books. Like I'm not hers is not fiction, but I'm not typically a history person. But I love her and I love her voice and I love the way that she tells stories. And I've been hearing lots of great things about the audio version. So I got it and I am absolutely loving it. The way that she tells stories is truly, it's just incredible. And however, I will say, don't listen to chapter 1 if you're a parent while you're like trying to do your makeup and get ready, because that's not helpful. But it was, and I'm not that far into it, obviously, as you can tell, but I am really enjoying it. So I'll share more, concrete thoughts as I get closer to the end of it, but I'm not surprised. Okay. Let me come back to the comments really. Returned safely home from the hurricane activation and went east from us, but still remember Hurricane Michael, so we left. I've never lived in a hurricane zone. Is that a word? Is that a phrase? Like a hurricane zone? And so I have no idea what this is like for any of you, but I've obviously seen the footage and the coverage of everything that's going on and all the good, all the good thoughts, whatever we can do, we've been trying to do to help. We don't know anybody personally that was impacted. Most of our family is in Texas or the Northeast. So, but yeah, it's so sad to see everything that's been going on. So I'm glad that you were home safe. Okay. I see another question. I will get to that when I get to the question section at the end of the live. Let's keep chugging on updates, starting with my monthly goal check-in. So here are my goals. Obviously, it's only October 2nd, so we're not that far into the month. I have been, one of the things I've been doing this year, and I'm going to say it again in case you haven't heard, or maybe it will click this time. I am not worrying about the first of the month anymore. I'm starting new goals on Mondays. I know a couple weeks ago we had a conversation about what's so great about things starting on a Monday. It just works for me. I get new, excited energy on Mondays, and I like to start things on Mondays. So what I've been doing this year is I have just been starting my new monthly goals, and I'll put them in quotes because I started my October goals the 30th. This was an easy one, right? This was an easy decision to pick to start this week, but I started my things on Monday. And so far, so good. However, I just realized that I checked off yesterday's water and I definitely did not hit that. So oops. You'll see that when I show you my 100-day check-in. But the thing I really wanted to show you on this is where you break down other things. So one of my quarterly goals, and if I put up a lot of videos in the last few days. So if you are watching this live and you haven't watched all the bazillion videos I put up earlier this week, I totally understand. Monday's video was a recap on September and Q3. Tuesday morning's video was a flip through of the planner, and yesterday evening's video was these goals. So it was Q4 and October. One of my Q4 goals is a deep clean of our apartment. And I broke it down in these 8 areas, and my plan is to do 1 per week in October and November and then be done with it. That's the plan. So I decided to make it, this is my sticky, I created these sticky notes. It says break it down in the bottom in my handwriting. Like that's actually on the sticky note. And then the top part is what I wrote on it. But those are the 8 areas of the apartment that I'm going to deep clean before the new year. And so they obviously, or if I don't know if this is obvious for some of you, these are very different amounts of time, right? Things like the bathrooms and the hallway, those are the small ones. And then there's like medium level ones. Like the living room is big, but like there's not as much stuff going on. Whereas like the kitchen or my office, like that's intense. So I'm going to pick them based on like what's going on that week. This week happens to be incredibly busy. So likely I'm just going to, and I have to clean the bathroom anyway for company coming. So I'm going to do the guest bath this week as my area, but I just wanted to show you how I have that broken down. Okay. I'm talking a lot. Last thing is the 100-day check-in. You can still join. I guess I will continue to update this every week. I don't know why not. I'm just going to do it as part of my goals. Here's the check-in, my check-in. So far, so good. Not perfect. Wasn't expecting it to be, but I'm definitely making progress. All right. It is time. Let's talk about the Goals with Laken Planner. So I did post a video yesterday with all of the changes and some additional info in case this is your first time learning about the planner, like some of the details on the specifics, the different options, the different versions, all of that is in yesterday's video in depth. But what I wanted to do in the live was share the changes in list form. So those of you who like the changes, I obviously talked about them as I flip through the planner, but if you want to just hear like a rundown, this is going to be that. It's going to be a rundown of all the changes. I also wanted this to be like a little bit of a conversation. So if you have any questions about the planner, the system, any of those things, any of the changes, please, that's what we're here to do. So if you're here live, you can ask live. If you're watching the replay, you can leave them in the comments. First, before we jump in, I want to say thank you to everyone who has purchased it so far. It always just like, it warms my heart. I feel like as somebody who, how do I say this? Like everything that I've created has stemmed from what I needed, right? Like I didn't create this thinking like, oh, I let me make it like this so it'll sell more. Like I just made what I wanted, truthfully. And it works for me. And the fact that it has also worked for so many of you and so many of you come back year after year, it makes me so, so happy. So I wanted to start with a thank you. Second, before we jump in, community members, do not forget that you have a discount code. I guess the email that I sent yesterday with the code did not go. Some people did not get it, which is technology is frustrating me. But I did send it in a text and posted it in the Facebook group today. So if you have not seen it, you do have a discount code for the full year version of the planner that is good through the 10th, next Thursday. All right. First things first, there were no major changes, except maybe the last one is a little bit of a major change. For the most part, the changes were small. But that, to me, is a testament to all the work I did last year and the year before that, where I feel like I did all the major changes there, and that this version to me feels good. Like, sure, are there other things that I could have considered? Yes. And I already have a running list of ideas for next year? Absolutely. And there's a million reasons why I did or did not make the decision to include things. So just because if you submitted, I did a survey in the summer asking for any feedback from those of you that use the planner that I would incorporate, and so just because if you submitted a change, if it didn't get included in this version, doesn't mean it's gone. I have a list of things that I thought maybe I wanted to, and just thought maybe it'll be a next year thing. So, okay, let's quickly run through the 10 changes, which I just love that it was like 10, to the 2025 planner. So number one is the cover page has a pop of color. So this is what the cover looks like. I didn't add color to the entire thing. That was something I considered, but I decided for this year, I'm just going to add it to the cover page. If you print it in black and white, it still prints out beautifully. It doesn't look weird at all, in my opinion. I in the other version of the video, I did show it in black and white, but I also love it in color. So that was just a little thing that I added this year. Number two, this one, I guess is kind of a big change. I think it's a really helpful one. There's notes pages now sprinkled throughout the planner. They are on the back of main goal pages. So things like the cover page, the annual goals, the quarterly goals, and the goal tracking pages. Those pages tend to be the ones that myself included, print out and then hang up somewhere. And so I wanted the back to not be like goal work. I wanted it to be just a notes page. Now, for those of you who don't do that, if you don't take your planner and stick it somewhere, that page in your planner, you just have a notes page now. You could use it for breakdowns. You could use it for pep talks. You could use it for notes on lives or YouTube videos. There's so many things that you could use the notes page for. But more importantly, you can just click print everything front and back as is, and the backs of all of those pages will now be a notes page. Now, to get a little technical on printing, you have to be printing the whole thing. Like if you take off a page, then all of a sudden it doesn't match up anymore. But if you print, just click print without any changes, it will have that on the back. Your passion for the design and the process came through in how you approached improvements and in the video. Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate that. I'm late, but I made it. Welcome. No worries. All right, we're only on number 2. Number 3, there's a slight change to the page numbers, and I explained this in the top-down version of the video. This one was for me. So I actually don't print my entire planner out at the beginning of the year. I print pages as I need them. That's just what works for me. And last year, I didn't give the cover page a page number. Now, there's not an actual page number on the cover page, but in the counting of the page numbers, it's page 1. I didn't do that last year. I just made the first like real page 1. And when you do it that way, then when you go to print, you can't just look at the page number. And the number of times that I printed the wrong page because I was looking at the page number on the planner and not the page number in Adobe, I don't even want to tell you. So that's a really small tweak, but if anybody else is like me and you print pages out individually as you go, it's going to be really helpful for you. There were a handful, number 4 is there's a handful of wording changes to questions here and there. Nothing drastic. There's still the same like thought. The why behind the questions is still there, but I changed some words. I also made sure they were all in the same what's the grammar word here? Like person. Some of them, there are pages, y'all. Also, this is clearly my postpartum brain that wrote some of these. There were pages that were in U format. Like I'm writing it as if, like when you're reading it, it says like, what did you learn in 2024? And then some of the pages were in like I format, like what did I learn in 2024? And I think either one is fine. I don't necessarily think that one makes more sense than the other when I sat down to think about it, but they needed to be the same. The whole planner needed to be one or the other. So that was another change to those questions. I like tense, I guess. Is it tense? But it's not, they were all like in past or present. It was just whether it was like you, the word you, or the word I and the word me. I don't know. It was just really funny. When I realized that, I was like, wow, Laken, that made no sense. But it obviously still worked for all of us. And something I didn't catch last year. Okay. Number 5 is that there are no page numbers on the goal pages. So along the same lines of printing out those pages and hanging them up for places to see, in places that you can see, I found myself before printing mine, always taking the page numbers off. I don't know. I don't like looking at the page numbers. Although I noticed I didn't do it in October. Like here's my October version. And I left the page number on there. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't know. It's just me. I don't want the page number. I think the page numbers are important for most of the prep work because when we do the goal workshops, whether it's the monthly and the quarterly ones inside the community or it's the annual ones that are going to be available on their own, I want to be able to say like on page, blah, blah, blah. But for these pages, I just wanted them to not have page numbers. So I took them off. There's a new question this was a request from one of you on the win tracker pages. I should have had these all like ready to go. So these pages, it says, how will you celebrate at the bottom? And I want you to think about, I probably could have given you a little bit more space, how to think about how you're going to celebrate for this individual goal. You have one of these pages for each of your goals. Along the same lines as these, number 7 is that there is a reminder to fill these in because we fill these out at the beginning of the year. We get them all set up. And then if you're like me, you don't fill them out. I've been very bad this year about filling them out. And last year I was better about it and last year that wasn't technically part of the planner. Like when I say last year, I mean 2023. It was a handout that was part of the in-person event I did in January of 2023. And I had mine all set up and I started strong with them at the beginning of the year, and then like pregnancy and baby and all the things, and I stopped. And this year I did a very bad job of keeping up with them. And so what I did is let me see if I can quickly find this page or a version of this page. On the reflections pages. So it says the March reflections page, update annual wins tracker. There's a checkbox. Wins trackers. That sounds funny now that I say that out loud. Update annual wins trackers, but it makes sense because there's more than one wins and there's more than one tracker. It's voice. Oh, thank you. Okay, that's what I meant. Okay. Talking about the person, you or I. Okay, a couple other small changes. I moved the reflections page so that it is technically part of the month that it's a part of. That if you get the annual version, you won't really notice that it's different. But when you are, well, that's not true because then it's before the quarterly check-ins. Which when we would do the quarterly the quarterly goal setting sessions, I would do it then. Like I would do the reflections, and I always commented and was like, "Sorry, goals with Laken planner users, like it's out of order." And so I moved it so that it would be in the right order. First person voice, second person voice. That's what it is. Y'all, grammar, not my strong suit. Spelling, not even close. Also, oh, I'm just like spilling coffee on myself somehow. If you have any questions, like this can be a conversation. I feel like a lot of times in this section of the live, I'm like talking at you because I'm going through talking points. And this one, like if you have questions, if you want to chat, like let's chat. Okay. I took out the pre-month brainstorm page. You probably don't even notice this because I know a lot of you didn't use it. This page was for me. I used this page a lot in 2023. And in 2024, I did a lot of this like I still do this, like what I created this page for, I still do, but I do it on my phone. So since a lot of you didn't use it, I decided to just take it out. And if you need some pre-month brainstorming, you can just write on the brainstorming page and then cross things off, or use sticky notes there, or do it on your phone like I do. We didn't need a whole extra page in the planner for it. Okay, last change, which this is the big one that is big in literal size and also I think in help, and that is an appendix. So this was a collaboration of ideas. So the two different suggestions brought up an appendix for two different things. I do not get credit for this idea at all. I did not say that in the other video. So thank you to the two people who submitted this idea. So one person talked about creating an appendix with all the like how-to guides. So there's the breakdown method page. Again, I feel like I would have behooved me to have this all organized, and all my pages are like out of order. Oh, this page. Okay. This page. And then all the pages that teach you, like, or tell you what to do. I called them page overviews, but it's like, there's some like pep talk things, there's some details, just some extra guidance on how to use the pages. Originally, I had this in every version. And the reason it was in every quarterly version is because I sell the quarterly versions on their own. And so then those of you who had the annual one were like, I have those pages every quarter. It's unnecessary. That's a waste. And then some of you were like, I'm missing them. Like you have it for some pages, but not for all of them, which I totally understand. So now they exist for all the pages, and it's part of the appendix. So if you want a hard copy, you can print the hard copy. It's only 4 pages, or it's actually only 2 front and back, 4 one-sided. And so if you want to have those in hard copy, you can just print those out, or you can just save it digitally and have it digitally there for you when you need it. And if you're going to do the workshops and you are a community member, you don't actually need those pages, because all those things in those pages, I tell you as we work through the planner together. The other component of the appendix that was also a suggestion from one of you that I loved were option pages for different numbers of goals. So the goal planner is structured to be for 8 goals because that seems to be the number for an annual basis that feels good to a lot of people. A lot of goal planners just circle themselves around 8 goals. If I'm being totally honest, I would love to make it the goal planner to be circled around a smaller number. I think that we are so bad at picking goals that are small enough that 8 goals is a lot. But I digress. I will keep it at 8 goals. But a lot of us don't set 8 goals. And so then you would get to these goal pages, find one of them, literally all over the place. Okay, here, I finally found one. These goal pages that say like 2025 annual goals. And there's ones like this for the quarterly goals as well, with the notes page on the back. And you were like, I don't have 8, but I don't like to leave empty space. So then you would force yourself to have 8, or you like wouldn't go look at this page because you didn't like the empty space. So what I'd done personally, like for just myself, and you saw some of those, is I would make a version that had bigger boxes and had less boxes. This past year, I have just been cutting it. So like, here's my Q4 goals. I just cut off the bottom 2 so I didn't have to see them. And you could totally do that as well. But if you're keeping it in a planner, you might not want to cut it off. So the appendix now has versions for different size goals. So it goes all the way from the 8 version is embedded in the planner. In the appendix, you have 7, 6, 5, 4, and here's what 3 looks like. These are really big boxes, but you could totally just make it right big, decorate it, make it pretty, whatever. I didn't go lower than 3 because I feel like 3 is still like have 3 goals. I feel like that feels good as a foundation. And if you want to if you're one of those people, it's like, oh, I just really want to go all in on one goal. Let's talk about how you could break it down into like 3, maybe slightly smaller goals. Maybe in the future, I will also include a 2-page and a 2-goal and a 0-goal one. I mean, a 0-goal one would just be a big box and you could do whatever you wanted, which isn't a terrible idea. You know what? Let me know. If you're watching this and you're here at this point and you really would like a 2 and a 1, I can make that and update it into the appendix. I can upload a new version. No big deal. Okay. That's it. Those are the changes. That's all I've got. Again, thank you to everybody who's already got it. It's not going anywhere. There is no, like, it launched yesterday, but there's no like time limit. The annual version is not going anywhere. So you can get it whenever you need to get it. I know it's October 2nd. Like, we still have so much time. We're not going to even start really working on our 2025 goals until December. So no rush, no pressure unless you're trying to get it printed. I talked about this on the community call last night. You know, a lot of goal planners launch like this time of year. And so I felt a lot of pressure to get mine up. And you know, they launch them earlier because they have to ship them. And I get that. And I don't have to, but I wanted to get mine up at the same time. You know what I mean? So anyway, it's up. But no rush to get it, except community members, your code does expire on the 10th. So, all righty. Any questions? Dot grid goal pages with notes for. If you have X goals, your boxes are X dots high. Oh, Jamie, I don't know if I fully understand. You mean like how many dots are in each box? Honestly, I can see through mine. Like, I can see each of them are like 2.5. Like, you draw the boxes yourself. True. Yeah. Any other questions? Anything else? Okay. Let's jump into the Q&A section of this live chat. Feel free to ask anything that's on your mind. It doesn't have to be about the planner. It doesn't have to be about my goals. It can be about your individual goals, struggles. It can be about a topic that you're struggling with, whatever's on your mind, whatever you need some support on. And I know we already had one. So let me pull that question back up from the top. I am in a planner funk. Any tips? Yes. I think I did a video on this a very long time ago, but if I can find it, I'm going to link it for you. But if I did, it was a long time ago. And I probably know a heck of a lot more. Not probably, I definitely know a heck of a lot more than I did now. Number one, to me, and you might feel differently, but when I think of a planner funk, that means I'm not using my planner. That's what that means. I'm not using it. And I have always said that the number one feature a planner has is that you will use it. So whatever that means for you, everybody has different preferences, needs, etc. You want a coil, you want not coil, you want really nice paper, you don't care about the paper quality, right? There's so many features of planners, and the number one feature is that it's things you like that you'll use. To me, a planner funk means I'm not using my planner. So how do we get you to use it? Number one, you could take a step back. Take a break and just use a notebook. Make a to-do list and just work in a notebook. Get that momentum of doing stuff back into your, get into your groove of working on things. And then it'll be easier for you to jump back into a planner. Number two is simplify. Are you decorating? Are you using a bunch of stickers? Are you making it a lot more than you need? You know what? Was this a topic for one of those Paper and Pen Girl collab seasons? Maybe I'm making that up. Anyway, simplify your system. Make it not take as much of your time, make it simple. And then number three is maybe it's just not working for you. Maybe you're not using your planner anymore because the actual planner that you're using does not work in your season of life. So what is it about your planner that may not line up? Is it that it's too big and you have work is so busy right now and you have a big giant daily planner that has most of it is work, and so it's a waste of time and you need to switch to a weekly? Or vice versa. Are you trying to cram every little thing into a weekly planner and you need to switch to a daily? Do you need a fresh start every day, and so you need to switch to a daily so that you can just turn the page and start over? Do you need a planner that's more portable, right? Are you on the go a lot more? Are you back at the office? I saw somewhere a major company is asking people to come back in 5 days a week. What? So are you one of those people? Do you were you working from home for the last 4 years and now you're back in the office and you need a much more portable planner and maybe you need to switch? What is it about your planner that's not working for you? For me, most of the time, if I'm struggling, I just go to a notepad or a notebook for a bit and I just make to-do lists on a notebook, and then give me a week and I'm ready to get back into it. So hopefully that was helpful. Sorry, I was reading the next comments. If you have any other questions on that, but hopefully that was helpful for you. Cost, where to purchase is link in the description. Clearly, I'm really bad at selling things. The link is in the description, except I think it's the old link. It's the 2024 version. I'll update it as soon as the live is over. The link will be in the description. The full year, if you want the whole year, is $50. For the whole year, you get the prep work pages as well as all 4 quarters. You can also purchase those things individual. If you just need the prep work pages and you have a goal planner that you love and use to carry you through the year, but you need that background work of defining and breaking down goals, you can buy just the prep work section for $15. If you want to just do 1 quarter at a time, maybe you're not sure if it's going to work for you, or you just financially upfront is tough, and so you want to do 1 quarter at a time. Each quarter individually is also $15. And those are the 3 things you can get now: the full year, the prep pages by themselves, or Q1. The other quarters will release as the year goes on. I was not good and consistent about remembering to turn those over this year, but I will be better about that next year. And the plan is the first of the month. So on March 1st is when it will transition. The Q1 one will come down and the Q2 version will go up, so on and so forth throughout the year is the plan. The full year version will stay up until probably, I think I left it up to July or August. But then at that point, It like doesn't make any sense. You just get the 2 quarters and the prep pages. Like the prep pages plus 2 quarters is less than the whole year. So like it doesn't matter, you know? In fact, that's exactly how that math works. Once we hit like going into Q3, the full year version is the savings on the full year version is irrelevant at that point. Okay, Sarah, I have a really big goal coming up and I've already started brainstorming, but I think I need help breaking it down. There are going to be so many steps. So, number one is I want to remind you, Sarah, and anybody, when you have a big goal, you do not need the entire plan or all of the steps in order to get started. Sometimes when we have these big giant things and something's happening behind the scenes that I cannot share yet publicly, but like I'm going to share soon, and it falls into this category of big goal, right? And a prior version of me would have felt like I needed the whole plan from start to finish. I need every step from A to Z. What is it going to look like from the day it started until the day it's done? And that if I didn't have that whole plan, like I couldn't even do step one. And for a lot of reasons, that is not helpful. Number one is knowing all those steps is sometimes impossible. Number two is those steps could change. I have definitely been known for making these giant plans and these like really well thought out things. And and then like I start working on it and then the steps change and the plans change. And whether that's the timeline or the actual steps, any of it could change. So then all the time I spent planning and breaking it down ended up being almost a waste of time. It's not totally a waste of time, but a little bit of a waste of time. The other thing is you will learn so much as you start doing. Learning is literally the best way to figure out the steps. And so I want you to break it down. I'm not telling you not to break down your goal. But what I want to remind you before we talk practical tips is that you don't need the entire breakdown from start to finish in order to actually start. That said, sometimes when it comes to bringing it down, number one is reference all the resources that I have. So I have a bazillion and one YouTube videos on breaking down goals, which I will relink for you. I also have the breaking down goals lesson within the community. And when you originally watched any of those things, you were thinking about your current goals. It is so helpful to go back and rewatch when you have new goals because your brain is processing through the current visual and your life has changed. Oh, you shared it. Okay, you're planning to sell your house, buy an RV, and travel full time. That is amazing and exciting. And I'm so excited for y'all. Oh my gosh, that's so fun. So that is definitely a goal that I feel like some of the steps you're probably not going to know until you are like starting the process. And you can, same thing with the timeline. I don't know if you have a set timeline that you're working on, or the timeline might ebb and flow depending on how things go, right? Selling your house, finding an RV that you want to purchase, etc. So rewatch all the breakdown videos and breakdown content with this new goal in mind to start breaking it down. Then, I had something and now it's gone. Where did it go? Oh my gosh. I shouldn't read comments while I'm talking because the idea I had in my head just like fluttered away. Anyways, oh well, I keep thinking it's going to come back and it doesn't. So the next thing in my brain is it's okay to make it into smaller steps, right? Like selling your house and buying an RV and figuring out your travel plan. Like those can be 3 separate goals in and of themselves. So they could be, potentially overlapping. And so don't be afraid to make them like all individual goals. I remembered some goals, we are not meant to just know how to break them down. Okay. There are some things in life, I am talking to myself, that we just don't know because we've never done it before. And it's not like an intuitive, oh, this is what I need and what makes me happy. Like, no, it's an actual process. It's an actual thing. And there are steps and you just don't know them. And that's okay. So your options are to Google them, which is a total option, and ask an expert and reach out to experts and have them tell you. Those are your choices. And don't feel ashamed or bad to do either of those things to help you figure out the steps, because there are going to be goals, especially things like buying, selling a house, that you need to like be told what the steps are. So those are my ideas. That's really exciting, Sarah. That's super exciting. Thank you for sharing. And if you need anything else or any help with breakdowns or anything, I mean, some of these, like, I can help. I feel like I'm pretty good with breakdowns. Like, I feel like breaking down goals is one of my secret superpowers. Especially when it comes to like habits or like progressive type goals, coming up with ideas. So the travel one, I feel like I could throw some things, like have some ideas. But like selling your house and buying an RV, no idea. No idea what those steps look like. I would definitely have to Google them myself. So hopefully that was helpful. Quick planner question. Is the appendix associated with each planner choice? Yes and no. The breakdown pages in all of them, and the like how-to pages, what is it called? What did I call it? Those pages are going to be in the same in all of them. I realized that like the effort of moving and formatting them to only have the pages in each version, like just was not going to be it. So those are all in there. The goal pages, like the ones like this, are only going to be associated with that planner, right? So if you buy the prep work version, it's only going to have the 2025 goals in there. It's not going to have the quarterly versions of these. If you buy Q1, it's only going to have the Q1 versions of these. And then obviously if you buy the annual one, it's going to have all of them. So this section of the appendix is unique to each choice. The other stuff is in all of them. Yeah, I think they are separate goals. I think they have overlaps, and I think they have domino effects that relate to each one, but it might help your brain break them down and actually start working on them if you think of them as separate goals, because I think you can work on all of them at least a little bit simultaneously. All right. Jess, hello. Hi. It's nice to see your name. I have not set any goals in a while, and I'd like to get back into goal setting, but life feels so overwhelming right now. What would be a good first step to start again? I would bet that you're not alone in this boat. So first off, I love that you're asking this in October, and you're not, I'm making an assumption that you're asking to start now and not necessarily to wait until January. Here's what I would suggest. I don't want goals to make you feel more overwhelmed. Right? If you're already feeling overwhelmed with life, I don't want you to add other things to your plate and then it just like it topples you over. So I want you to pick one thing. That is my recommendation on your first step, is one goal, one habit, one thing, one step, one, and start there. See how that feels. Make sure it doesn't make your plate topple over. Make sure it's adding value to your life and not taking away. And then once you get into the groove of that one thing, whatever it is, then you can start to add in another thing. I would also make sure that you're not putting extra pressure on yourself to play catch up, right? To think like, oh, I haven't set goals in a while, and so I need to play catch up from all this time that I didn't do things, right? Oh, I didn't, I wanted to declutter my whole house and I didn't do anything, and it's October, so I need to do the whole house in Q4 to play catch up. Like, that's potentially unrealistic for you. So let go of the need to play catch up and focus on what you realistically can do right now. The other thing I will say is that if it's been a while, it wouldn't hurt to go back and do some of those like basic thinking about what matters to you exercises. Like, what does your ideal day look like? What truly makes you happy? Like thinking back to how, not picking a goal. Like when I say pick one thing, not picking that one thing because it was something that you had before or you feel like you should or whatever. Like for picking it because it actually does matter to you right now, even though life is overwhelming. Hopefully that was helpful. Because I know you're not alone. This is a good question. I have a hard time wording my goals. Any tips on how to phrase your goals? Yes. A couple things. I feel like this could be its own video. I feel like this is a good idea. Number one, do not overcomplicate it. I have been there where I'm like, I've got to think of the perfect word and I've got to think of the perfect phrasing. Y'all were probably around the year that I did. All my goals were alliterations because I felt like that was necessary. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I would rather you have less words on a goal and know exactly what it means to you than think of all of the words you could throw in and all the buzzwords and then look at it and be like, that's not actually what I want to do. So number one, don't overcomplicate it. Number two, when you take the time, one of the big things that's, I think, a little different in my systems than in other goal planners is I want you to break down and define your goal before you give it those final words, right? Like if you look at like the order of things in my planners, and now literally you guys, the pages are everywhere. And so they're not in any kind of order. So when I'm trying to like grab, the defining the goal, why can't I find one of these pages, is at the end. Oh, here you go. Okay. So this page that's define your goal, right? I want you to put an idea here. So the idea could be declutter. I don't know why I keep using that as an example. Then I'm going to answer all these questions and I want you to define what the goal means to you. Then you put the final goal at the bottom. All of the things that you write here is going to help you pick the words. It's going to help you get clear on what the word is, what actually matters to you, as opposed to just saying like declutter my house. Like knowing why you want to declutter, knowing what the outcome looks like, what the feelings are going to help you pick those words. The other thing I will say is you can always change your mind. You're not etching these on stone. These are not like, you're not getting a tattoo. This is not something that is impossible or difficult to change. If you, and I've done this before, that's why I have you rewrite your annual goals every quarter, because maybe 3 months into the year, you're like, I don't like that wording and that doesn't work for me. And you change it. It could still be the exact same goal, but you change the wording on. So I think that those are kind of my initial reaction thoughts, is keeping things simple, defining it first to get really clear on what it means, and then be open to changing it if you find that it's not working for you, and just remembering that you're not etching it in stone for forever. It's like you're in my head because I'm definitely a do all the things now. I'm going to focus on hitting my steps twice a week. I love it. Sounds like a great first step. Anything else that you all need? What is on your mind? What questions do you have as we jump into Q4? I'm really excited. I feel like for the first time I am in a long time, I'm like excited about my Q4 goals and brainstorming the new year all at the same time. And I don't feel like, I don't feel like it's conflicting. Like I don't feel like I'm working on things and I'm like, oh, I'll just wait and push that to January, or vice versa. I'm like excited about things and like not even thinking about the new year. I don't know. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but it feels different than it has before, which is fun. Anything else that y'all need from me? Any other questions? Any other struggles that you're having? If you are still here at the end, if you're watching the replay, I want to remind you that you can always comment with questions for the next week. If you like are a regular replay watcher, actually, and I also want to know, does the time, those of you watching the replay, would you always just watch the replay regardless of whether that time worked for you? Or would you be interested in joining live if the time was better? That question goes along with my brainstorming for 2025 thing. Okay. If there are no more questions, then let's wrap it up. What is the one thing that you're going to do this week to make progress on your goals? What's the one step you're going to take? Small step, small progress is still progress. Done is better than perfect. What's the small step that you're going to take this week to make progress on your goals? If you're here live, let me know in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments. My one thing is to clean and prep for company. I'm actually so excited. One of my high school friends and his wife are coming to visit this weekend. They're just staying with us on Friday and then a family on Saturday, but they are moving back. Obviously, he used to live here because he is my friend from high school in the Burbs, but him and his wife are in DC right now and they're moving back to Chicago, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm a bit confused. Will the Q1 version have the appendix? Yeah. The Q1 version will have like the Q1 goals in different sizes. It just won't have like the annual goal pages. Every version will have an appendix of some kind. Setting up your October goals. I love it. It is not too late. Anybody else want to share their one thing? If you're here, if you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments as well. All right, last thing. If you watched all the way to the end, if you're still here, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please comment with a pencil emoji. If you are here all the way until the end, I appreciate you so much. I will see all of you very soon, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.